Episode 2, Rupture. So a question that I feel like often kind of becomes a speculation, of like, what is the origin of whiteness or colonization? For me, I see it not necessarily as a particular moment in time, but as an accumulation that became an entity because its function was not understood. My sense of rupture is that it's part of the wave. It's part of the way that as living organisms and as dying organisms and as living again organisms in a wider system, the pattern that moves us through life and sustains us, and it shows up in all of these different ways. It's the expansion contraction of the universe. It's the movement from right brain to left brain and back to right brain. It's the peak valley recovery pattern. That in right-sized contextual human cultures where the system was in a sense of dynamic balance, dynamic flow, it was understood that undulation needed to be met many times within each individual life. So the rupture is one gesture that is completely necessary to the pattern. But if it is not supported by the wider body, the wider system that the single organism is inside of, it gets stuck. And if it continues to be stuck, it starts to amplify and become a positive feedback loop that keeps eating itself, keeps eating other things. I am trying to speak to the energy that is in my bone and in my blood. That has been compounding over thousands of years. I'm calling you in. Calling you in to this place, to this vessel, so that we can begin to notice each other directly. This energy that I can feel gathering in front of me here. This is the energy that comes before colonization. It is the root that colonization and whiteness and this kind of developmentally rooted dissociation that is so unquestioned as the form of perception that underlies my kin's experience of reality. I'm not going to try and name this energy directly. But I will invoke you. The air thickens. The word abandonment comes. Outcast. There's kind of a turning in my chest. Like my heart is tucking underneath. My back body is closing and hardening. I'm invoking this energy because I have spent the better part of a year very deeply working at connecting to my rooted self and the web of my relationships. I can feel the contact of the earth. This physical ground underneath me, touching my skin, my muscle, my fascia, my bone. I can feel my ancestors, my wise, ancient ancestors accompanying me here. I can feel the presence of death holding the edges of this container. And this wild Eros energy that I am just beginning to meet. Sustaining in the center of me. So I invoke the spirit of rupture. Knowing that there is support and containment and capacity to meet this spirit in an amount that is not too much, that is not overwhelming to my system, but just brings in a drop of this energy to start to witness what it is my people have forgotten. There's a feeling like my belly in front of my hara and out to the edges of my skin and out is sort of opening into a hole. Upper ribs just kind of almost like ripple shuddered. And there's a sense of my sits bones and my verticality. Yeah, it feels like my belly is there. There's a part of me that's like very faint that's actually looking out from my belly, so that my gaze on this spirit of rupture and dissociation can actually be not from my head or my heart, but down. Getting cold. And now there's a question about how to meet this energy, because there was just a feeling like it wanted to come up into me. I'm not sure that I want to bring it fully into my body yet, that I have capacity for that. I'm just going to hold, feel this concentration of energy in front of me. I can actually hold. From there, I'm going to invite this energy to speak. The sun just touched my back. My whole back of my arms got warm. I am the spirit of rupture. I am that place where your attention broke. Where you became lost. Feeling myself kind of pushing, and so I'm asking if there's a way to kind of ease back and not try and make something happen. There's kind of some layers of heat and cold moving through me in like a very concentrated point in my belly. Like a feeling of burping. think that this look around. For some reason, even just that, I started to open and alchemize something. And this, I'm gonna let this energy stay in front of me. I request that it leaves my body and just kind of hovers in front of me in a ball. And I'm going to speak about it a little bit, what my sense of it is. And then maybe check back in and see if still finding this balance of inside me and outside me and how to speak. I feel the energy like that. Rupture energy, especially connected to my gallbladder for some reason. So the reason that I'm wanting to start to relate to this energy is it feels like so much of the contemporary world is a giant misdirect from the source of the pain. The sense I keep having of it is that it's just a process that got interrupted. So there's nothing inherently wrong or evil about it. It's just, it has amplified to such an extent that our capacity as individual humans to even see it, let alone relate to it, is overwhelming, and so we track the symptoms of it. The rupture has to do with that transition, that terror of collapse, if the collapse isn't held, because that's death, that's abandonment. And the reason that I say that the rupture is a developmental wound is it's existentially felt because of the absence of those nurturing caregivers as babies, as children. Because that's the time as an organism that we have the most need to know that we are not just isolated, but that our being, our organism, includes the ones who care for us. And so if we didn't have that, because the ones who cared for us didn't have that, because there was too much death or too much illness or too much stress, and suddenly the entire culture became built around this normalized threat response. And so the ones who were supposed to be mature, supposed to be caring for us, did not have their sense of support. Then we never received an embodied sense of that support. So I'm going to invite back in that spirit of rupture. Kind of got the image, the sense that it's most tangible in a child, a baby's alarm, because we come into the world expecting to be met with the rest of ourselves. I think that's where the longing is. Sarah Peyton talks about alarmed aloneness. And that's one way to talk about it, but it doesn't quite feel poetic enough for my system. And there's that profoundly erotic contact with the world and with self outside of this small body, and that sense of being seen. So it starts then. It starts as a baby. We come in and we're already there. We already have the expectation, we already have the need developmentally. If we are not met, we start to reduce our potency because it's too painful to be hanging parts of ourselves out into thin air when there's nothing there touching us. And then that other piece of it, though, because it's a system, it's not one, it's just different perspectives of the same system. I feel like Tyson Yunkaporta talks about this in Sand Talk, and some of the ways of the child and the parent and the grandfather and the aunties. Like it's like the smallest reduction is still a system. And so whenever we're looking at the individual self, we're looking at a part of a system that is painfully trying to cope with not feeling the rest of itself. Anyways, I promised that I would come back to this energy before being done. I just want to say I see you. I see the function that you hold in trying to protect the aliveness and the sensation and the beauty that is still there, so that there can be some feeling and some beauty. And I see your longing. I want to support that. Because I know there are ways back. There are ways to remember. Thank you.